Record now. Okay. Howdy, everyone. Welcome to the Money Store. My name is AJ. I'm here with my good friend Julian over in California. And yeah, Julian, thanks for coming on. I'm glad we could speak again.
Man,
And
it's been a couple months, maybe, no, like one or two, but yeah, I'm glad to. It just feels good to, you know, um, ventilate or just talk about it and just, it just feels good to make this type of content. And I have a lot of people message me, or even people that
mhm.
message them that are watching. They watch these videos and they talk about like, wow, I never thought about that. I never thought about what he said, or like stuff like that. So that's really much I think that was the main point of making these videos, to
Mhm.
talk about I guess you could say, the unthinkable in an LLDM member's mind, because being in that, trapped in that mindset, or surrounded by all these good people, but they're uh, in this bubble. It's really hard to think outside their box. It's kind of hard to, um, like, you've said so many things in the videos that made me makes me think, like, wow, I've never thought about that. And it's kind of hard because I feel like so many years in this religion, or this cult, La Luz Del Mundo, like, you kind of get, somehow, like, you get handicapped into thinking, like, other people. You're so used to thinking how everybody thinks, in surrounded by the people you're surrounded by. So I think it's
Mhm.
good. I think it's really good. And that's why I'm glad. That's why I'm glad I'm
Yeah,
here.
definitely. Yeah, thanks for coming on. It definitely is helpful. I always know not to the stuff that we do does have an impact, and not to like underestimate it or to overestimate it, but like I wish I had someone like me, trying to speak into my ear and just clogging the information feeds and trying to like get onto people's radar. I wish I had that, and I'm very lucky that I get to be that for some other people. And yeah, since we last spoke, I think it was like late November. I think it was around like Thanksgiving time. And then since then, yeah, we've both had some things develop in our personal lives, but I guess like the most important thing is that like we're still here and we still get to do what we do here. No one has literally shown up to our door and tried to uh, bring us back in or answer our questions answer the questions that we've raised or tried to stop us from doing this stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's good that we're here doing this. And one last thing, for sure, I have people that will message me. Like I think in like January, I had a a woman and her younger brother like message me separately, and then I found out that that they both knew each other and they were trying to talk to me at the same time. But anyways, both of them were telling me that yeah, I think one of them said, yeah, I didn't go to college because, my parents didn't want me to leave and they wanted me to get married in the church. And me and my little brother have kept ourselves ignorant, but we've always wanted to learn. And we've kept ourselves ignorant up until recently. And then we saw your videos, AJ, and we started watching that stuff. And, they just had a bunch of questions. And I just,
Wow. Yeah.
replied with email saying that, like, hey, man, and these are people from Houston that I know, not that I know, but that
Yeah.
that I probably walked past at some point, and that's just freaking great, man. We'll take the wins wherever they can, and again, like those are just the people that show up in my inbox, and my inbox can be full of people, but there's so many other just connections that are happening, whether people know it or not, and this is important for folks.
Yeah, dude. Like, you know, uh, just the way you talk is like, what I was telling, what I tell members is like, or people who go against what we talk about, or I guess it hurts their feelings. But it's like, we're doing everybody a big favor. Like, um, as far as members who are still in, right? And okay, they wanna, they hope that Naason is innocent, and we already know what they hope for. But it's like, what happened to one thing I always ask people is like, where are the ministers to pretty much balance this whole circus? Because it's gone so wild already that, and they know it. They know this has gone way out of control. You know, they're saying all this stuff, and at the beginning of the case, the spokesman Silem Garcia, and, um, I'm forgetting his first name, but his last name is Gutierrez. the spokesman of
Eliezer?
the Eliezer Gutierrez, right?
Yeah.
um, they'll come out and say like this thing to the members, right? Like a little speech, or on all these letters that they give in the Dominicales. And I tell members like, you know, why aren't you allowed to compare what they're telling you to like actual court documents? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you so allowed to like? Why is that even wrong? Like, how is that so wrong? Like, where is the evil in that, or whatever? And the fact that the fact that they're doing that, it's what's causing so many people like us who know the truth, right? And then they say that we're wrong, or they want to like, they think that we're lying, or we're just hearing all this information from just random people. But
Yeah.
it's like, if they took the time to just do that, they would see they would just see where we're coming from. But the fact that Eliezer Gutierrez and Silem Garcia and all these guys, they don't do that. They don't do that to help out their members. Like, oh, someone was walking in. They're not doing that so that they can stop, or they can just, this can end between like who's right, we're wrong, we're against you, you're against us. This like little battle. It's just so simple. Like, it's so ridiculous that I tell like a lot of people, like, I want to. I've been trying to arrange, bro, a meeting with my minister, or and I told him, I think I've told you in the past, like, bring your pastors, and because he didn't have the answers, and I say, bring the pastors, and I'll
Yeah.
bring my information, I'll get documentation, and prove me I'm wrong. Like, if I'm so wrong, then just prove me I'm wrong, like, in front of the pastors. So it's gonna boil down to like, once I have all this documentation in front of their faces, and then the pastors come with, their tie, and they have this view, the members have this view of them that they're always right, they don't get proven wrong. And this is why they won't come out and do that, because, I don't think they want the members to see them in defeat, or to see them in this position where like they look weak, they look like they lied, and their life's gone so big since like, since what? Since they came out that Naason admitted to having an affair. And ever since that lie, bro, I just feel like they just been covering up with more little lies, little lies, little lies. And it's so huge. So my my thoughts to when the when the next trial date comes up, wait, which is gonna be we're hoping it starts, right? The trial.
Yeah, May 9th,
Um
like 2 days
um
after his
I,
birthday.
yeah, what I was thinking, like, if it all goes down to what we're hoping for it to finish, and this huge thing comes out, right now, someone gets found guilty, or he admits to being guilty, or he gets found guilty and he's given life, which is probably what's going to happen. like like, what are they going to tell the members, you know like,
I wonder. Yeah.
what are they going to say? Like, what happened? I thought everything was going, like, some members still today think that there's no victims.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was just like just how
Mhm.
the spokesman have let it got so far to this point.
Yeah. I can share this with you. Not in much detail right now, but like later I can tell you who this is. But basically, ever since, well, since the last time we spoke, I got to speak one to one, face to face with someone very close to me that is still in the organization and who I'm just very desperately trying to get out. And for me, it was one thing to, read all the conspiracy theories and read all the misinformation that's circulating around on social media and wherever else, on YouTube especially, um, from from certain places. It was one thing to read it and see it there, and then to read it in text from a particular person,
Yeah.
where they don't go into too many detail or anything like that. But then, yeah, it was another thing to like be in front with this one particular person, and then this person like just spewing just misinformation, just very clearly not knowing not knowing anything, where they're just kind of saying things that they just heard on YouTube. And I sat, and they were walking around and they're uncomfortable. They weren't sitting down with me. They started walking around and pacing, very uncomfortable. And I was just like, just sitting there saying that, like, no, on this date, this thing, this document, they say this. These particular people are no longer in the picture, etc. And yeah, I remember people telling me that, like, this person telling me that like, yeah, there's the victims are real, people are being paid off, you're being duped, I'm not the one being duped, you're the one being duped. um and you're allowed to be duped because God has this grand plan where he's pulling the strings, and this is his way of dusting the rug. He's getting all the weak people out.
Right.
And in my mind, and while I'm exchanging with this person, I'm staring them dead in the eye, and I'm saying like, no, my phone is in my back pocket. When you're ready, I can pull the document out and tell you the past three sentences you said are completely false. And I have the papers here. Like, you clearly don't have the papers. You weren't supposed to be looking at them in the first place. You weren't supposed to be. um in one instance, I organized people to buy a certain document. It was a lot of money, and I was telling them that I was like, you guys, I was like, the church itself is not buying these documents and just pasting it on some Google Drive on their website. Like, just being very clear and transparent. It's just not happening. And I'm not. I would like to think that at this point, all nearly 3 years in, that the members are just really cracking, and things have to be like, the curiosity just has to bite them, and this thing just has to come to like, to this thing just has to be like, just put to the fire. Like, we have to put this man's feet to the fire and see if he testifies for himself, and see what more the officers can say, what more the survivors themselves can say, prosecutors, etc. Because otherwise, like, Nason just keeps us in this like judicial purgatory. Like, it's all that money that this family, that this organization has extracted out of people over decades. That money's now being like reversed onto people to keep them within that system. um to keep them within that system, to keep them continued to be milked. And
Oh yeah. I mean,
I don't know, man. Like, I would like to think that something just very excruciating is going to come down the line. And yeah, go on.
this is kind of relates to what you wanted to talk about, right? And if you want to start getting into
Mm.
that,
Oh yeah, but by the
along.
way, everyone, we're sort of just gonna play by ear. We have a couple things that we want to write down, but yeah, we're just gonna chit chat back and forth. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so what you told me that you wanted to talk about was Alondra's lawyer, right? There's a recent video where he comes out and talks about, his legal viewpoint of what he knows, what he's seen. Um, this guy's been doing this is what he does as his in his professional, career. Um, he knows this stuff. It's not like he was randomly selected by us, the ex LDM or whoever, and then he was a part of it too. Like, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, and he's a lawyer. And you were
Mhm.
saying, right? Like, I like when he says in the interview, and I don't know if you want to put the link to that video in this video
Yeah.
so that they can see that video. But I like when he says how, this idea of all of us, me, you, and we're all in this conspiracy against Nason, right? Because this is really what it boils down to. Like, if you really think about it, you put everything together, what's been going on, you think about everything, you know, if Nason gets found innocent and he walks away and there's like doves flying around him and it's something crazy like that, let's say that was to happen. And let's just say that, like, then truly this whole thing is a conspiracy, and then the FBI is gonna come in my little room here and then just arrest me for, saying false information, and then we're gonna go down and then like admit to like lying all this time. Like, no, dude, like, and he didn't say all that, but he says the
Mhm.
people who are in a conspiracy is the members who are being
Mhm.
fed this conspiracy by Nason.
Yeah.
Um, so
So let me explain who that is and what you're referring to. So basically, last month, I think it was the 25th of February. So somewhere late February, there's a channel called Innovation Group channel that has done some sort of content on La Luz del Mundo to some extent. The dude who runs the channel I'm pretty sure he was never part of La Luz del Mundo, but for some reason he does like content on it. I'm not a particular fan of this channel because it just has a bunch of weird random things, but this person, to their credit, um, on their own initiative, reached out to Fred Diagajara. I believe I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He reached out to him to request an interview that was like 20-30 minutes, and there's this video uploaded on Innovation Group channel. I will put the link for that. um, I and basically, yeah, on their own initiative, they reached out to him, which is really surprising because someone like me hadn't even thought of someone like me, and a bunch of other channels apparently hadn't even thought of reaching out to Fred to see if he would speak, and apparently, I guess he can. Have I reached out to him now? No, but that'd be cool. That'd be interesting. And yeah, the moment that you're referring to is that at some point, the host specifically asks Fred, "Hey, Fred, you're the one who's in the courtroom. You're the one who knows this person up close. You know these other people up close. You work with these other different. You're right there. You're down in the trenches with you there. Can we ask you a question? Is there any talk of like this being a Catholic conspiracy, etc., like that?" And Fred doesn't say this outright, but he basically says, "No, and nowhere in the transcripts is there anywhere about a talk of Catholic conspiracy." And that word of and instead what his answer is more like he's like, he says, "Yeah, there's a conspiracy, all right. It's just like there's just no Catholics involved. It's just that Naason has this particular hold on people outside of the courtroom to the point where it strengthens his position in the courtroom that he gets to say shit like that in public, and then pay off these very expensive lawyers to try to get him off." And that's important. I think people need to hear that, and I don't feel that those words were as strong. I'm not too sure what I think. I think some people overestimate a little too much what the force of those words coming from Fred, because of course, after all, he is Fred. And I think I think those words and what you're referring to has more strength after the trial, once things start to sprawl out. But yeah, you're right. Again, there's a conspiracy, but the conspiracy is that like um the Catholic Church isn't up here pulling strings. It's Naason who's been pulling strings for years. His family's been pulling
Right.
strings for years, and then once they get into this situation, uh, they still have this information like hold on people. They still have this hold on people's minds where they just can't take information in, and that's a red flag, but that's just but then that's what like conversations like this are for, and what interviews with Fred are for. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, dude, that video. I mean, of course, to someone like us, it's not surprising to hear that. Um, but it feels good to know that there's, you know, um, a lawyer, right? Someone with that standpoint where where he's coming from, you know, says or mentions things like this, and to a member from La Luz del Mundo, like when they see a person like that, like a lawyer, you know, I mean, I'm hoping they don't do this, but I mean, it seems like it's just a routine. Anyone that goes against, or anybody that just disagrees, or anything that is just anyone, that
Mhm.
has something negative and it's not even negative. It's just he's just doing his job, right? But it just sucks when they have to label him as like, they just can't believe him, or they don't even want to hear him, or they have like this, like, ugh, like no, and that's something that is a problem with La Luz del Mundo members. And
Mhm.
if they took the time to analyze their personality, or what they're doing, like, you just can't be doing that to like the whole world, or to everyone that just, this is someone who never met Nason, who doesn't know him, doesn't hate him, he doesn't know this guy, he's just doing his job. And I think it's important for them to analyze how they're reacting to that, because that kind of proves that you're being controlled. You're being controlled in the aspect of anyone anyone that goes against what's happening, or in a negative way that impacts not someone in this whole case, or your life with this religion.
Mhm.
Is it really that we're wrong, or is it just you just don't want to, it's just really making you feel uncomfortable and you don't want to deal with it? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
sometimes truth makes you feel uncomfortable, and and that happens throughout life. Like as you're growing up, you have to get uncomfortable to actually, get used to things, get used to like the gym, right? You were mentioning you're going to the gym. When I started going to the gym, um, I was very uncomfortable because, dude, the other day there was this like lady, swole, and she's a woman, and it's not that, like, it's not that she's wrong for being like that. It's just that she just puts in the work.
Mhm.
It ain't wrong.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna hate her for that. It's just the truth. She's a more harder working than I am. Maybe she probably is. But what I'm trying to get at is you um, there's there's this like a routine, or there's like a cycle, or on members that don't want to, in any way possible, they just don't want to accept or kind of analyze what's happening. They rather just push it away, because it makes them feel uncomfortable. And I
Hmm.
think we can relate to that with a lot of members who you've spoken to.
Hmm.
They'll just like you said, they'll just say something that probably makes no sense, or they'll
Hmm.
just say stuff that they've heard from people, and it really doesn't have any foundation. Like you have, you'll say, you pull out your phone, you pull out your paperwork, like that's what we want from from the other side, right, from La Luz del Mundo. But
Yeah, yeah.
that goes back to Silem Garcia and the spokesmen who've nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found, and it's led to like this, and it's pretty sad. It's
Hmm.
pretty sad, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. You raise a number of good points, and basically what I can boil like mine down to is like we want the LLDM members to be fucking harder on us. It just doesn't happen because they don't, because they're not armed in that way, you know. Well, one thing that I had mentioned in a previous video I've recorded, but I didn't upload it for some different reasons, but is that how so yeah, when Naason gets arrested early on, for sure there's press conferences here and there in Mexico and in the US, specifically in LA. And in LA, present at the press conferences are Nason's first lawyers, Ken Rosenfeld and Alan Sawyer. They're there, they're present, they speak at the podium and all that stuff. There's local media there. uh, Alan Jackson, all his work that he does for La Luz del Mundo is only in the courtroom, is basically only in the courtroom. It's never outside. I don't think we've ever seen him do some sort of press conference, I believe. And the one time that he ever, well, but scratch that. But back in, let's put Jackson aside. Back when Rosenfeld and Sawyer were in place in July 2019, do you remember they did like a half-hour video with Berea Internacional,
Oh
where
yeah.
they did an interview with some hermana who, yeah, who was some sort of lawyer herself, which apparently I don't know why she couldn't defend Naason herself, if Naason is so innocent. Um, yeah, they did an interview with her, and it's like inside of a temple, and it's really cringy. Uh, but
Yeah.
there's a number of things to say. But number one is that, like, that is an instance where the lawyers are not in the courtroom, but they're doing work for the church, for the PR in the church, doing an interview on YouTube that for some reason is still up. Those dudes don't represent Naason anymore, but for some reason that video is still up there. Um, Jackson, and then Jackson comes into play in August 2019, and ever since August 2019, for over 2 years, 2.5 years, this dude has never done something like that. He has never done that. The only time he ever did that was like a 2-3 minute video that he did directed to the church that was recorded in his office, probably on some sort of tripod that he had. 2-3 minute
Right.
video that he did from his office back in April 2020, when Nason's uh, when something in Nason's when Nason's charges were dismissed, but then of course they were just quickly refiled. It was just a move on his part to buy some time.
Right.
Uh, yeah, that what I'm trying to say there is that, like, the lawyers themselves, these people, the people that we're paying, who have no stake in this fight other than the fact that they're being paid, even aren't uh they aren't doing these interviews, or some sort of public explanation, or like a town hall or something like that. Now that could be because the La Luz Mundo hierarchy doesn't want them to, um, but then that could also be because those people don't want to, and they just want to do the lawyery stuff. I'm not too sure, but the point is that, like, that could be happening. Like, they could be having a town hall and shutting all of us up, and having a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
right? And having a PowerPoint, and having like um Nason Skype in or something. Just like they could be doing this at church.
Oh yeah.
At church, people could be having sessions after church where, hey, here are the documents, here's the explanation, here's just copies. I don't know, right? But that doesn't happen. Like, there's a clear asymmetry between people like us who know this, who have explored these documents, and and have read them, and we know things in and out, and we're allowed to just read information on our own regardless. There's a clear asymmetry between, like, people like us and people within the church who were just solely told to to stay put, and from
Yeah.
day one we're told not to read the news. And when curiosity gets to them, of course, well, they can go to YouTube and watch particular people, and have these people, like, spew more fake news. And I don't know, man, like it's frustrating, it sucks. And people like grow up in this. This is the last thing I'll say, but well, one thing I've really thought of in like the past handful of months is how like your parents, your folks aren't from Guadalajara, I believe, right?
No.
Um, but mine are, and many are, many families like connect back
Yeah.
to that. And for me, when I think that is that like, all these members who were born into the church, none of them chose to be born in the church. Like, they're all told that they're part of some big grand plan since the beginning of time, that God chose that they would be born into church. But these people, they weren't born into church, and some people were born in like in the provincia, and in the provincia, there turned out to be like regardless of what that baby is or who that family is, like, within the provincia, if you're born there, just a couple blocks is this religious maniac who's just saying shit and just consuming people into his life,
Right.
and and it leads to the point of the construction of the church, and it leads to the a bunch of extraction of free labor out of that neighborhood. And um yeah, there's a number of things I said there, but that's basically what I wanted to share. Those are my reactions to what you're saying.
Um,
There's a clear asymmetry between these things.
bro, that's so that's funny how you say that, you know, like me and you are just making this video talking about information, stuff that we know, and just like you say, like these, not someone has this like lawyer, right? He's a celebrity, right? He defends celebrities. I'm assuming he's got some sort of like,
Uh,
he knows how to talk, he knows how to speak, he has this like professional lifestyle, whatever. He can just easily come and shut us down, prove us wrong, you
yeah.
know, prove us wrong. But he can't because for one, all the stuff that we say, or the information that we have is from him. The documents is him talking. So you know, there's like this section where his professional life and La Luz del Mundo, right? And then in the middle is this legal stuff that's happening that you cannot involve. I don't care how you feel about Nason, that he's a superhero or that he's never said this or not. This is what is going down, and for Jackson to just come in the middle of that, he can't. You know what I mean? I assume he would like I think it would like ruin, not ruin, but make him kind of look bad in a way to
Hmm.
previous customers or previous clients
Hmm.
that might want to go with him because he's smart. He's very smart. And usually, bro, even in the news, when you see something unjust being done, like someone getting killed or whatever, you see the people holding you know uh, uh briefs or standing up and having like a podium in the street and talking, and you can see it in their faces, you can see it in their expression that they want justice, that this is wrong. And they reach out, they're vicious about it. You don't see that with La Luz del Mundo anymore. At first, you did see it at the very, very beginning because obviously this was like a huge bomb, right?
Hmm.
So they said this was going to get proven in court. It was going to it was all gonna get proven. His innocence was gonna prove, was gonna be proven. That hasn't happened. And now what happened to all this like vigorous, this vicious, his defense? Like what happened to his spokesman? You don't see that anymore, and
Hmm.
that's very interesting. That's very interesting. Coming from the only church that has the keys to the kingdom of heaven or whatever. And I don't say this to like make fun of them, but if Nason really, or if these people really had the truth, if it's his pastors and all these people, if they really had the truth, like why haven't they come out and just shut us all up, or just clear this whole, what's happening, and they just can't. I think. I think they've lost control, bro. I honestly think that they're in a position where they can't. They're so close to the trial. Like, what can they possibly say? They've said so many letters. I think deep down in their conscience, they're like, man, well, what else can we say? Like, what can we write and make another letter that what he's gonna get out? We don't think he's gonna get out. What can we say? And they had already said. Remember, now someone did. I don't know if you remember, but he and I always tell this to my wife. And
Hmm.
I don't mean to say this, but I always bring this up because this is from a person who said that God told him that when he gets out, he's gonna talk about all the beautiful testimonies of prisoners offering him food and watching over him and singing cantos with him and crying and praying with him. And he had all these testimonies that he was going to say when he was to get out, that he will be with us soon. And this is that what God told him, you know. So when this does not happen, like I'm just very curious to see like who lied. So like, you know, what happened with God there? Did he just kind of lied again? Or, you know, what's you know, what's going to happen there?
Hmm.
So, you know, and I think um members, I'm pretty sure as I'm saying this, they're probably looking at this video and they're watching this, right? If you really think about what I just said, you know, like, come on, that's a huge red flag. You know, from the beginning, there's been red flags, but what's the reason why you choose to ignore the red flags? Like, why do you choose to like, you know, jump onto the next thing or just kind of push it aside? Like, the more people do this, it's just gonna lead to something, um, you know, very sad. You know, just I don't know. Like,
Hmm.
you know, I think it's time to wake up, and and you know, you know, I guess this is what you mean by it's coming down to like the boiling fire point where, you know,
Hmm.
like we don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I wish I could know what members think and feel, but they're just so used to just
Yeah,
pushing it off to the side.
and it sucks. It's actually it sucks, and it's really weird and uncanny and just very uncomfortable how used to this people got like with a handful of months or just like kind of immediately. Like people actually like within like just the first minutes and hours of it. I saw with my own eyes how comfortable people just got with like people just moved on with their lives and um, you still probably attended church more and whatever else, and suddenly had this crazy thing happening in their lives. But if people got very comfortable, like just going with it and just sort of just being able to dismiss people, and I guess keeping an eye out for discomfort in others. Because when that discomfort arises, and that's when like families are separated and tough conversations happen.
Yeah.
Um, one thing that I something else that I was going to say about these lawyers and the moment that we're in is how um, so there's that bit about how they very clearly haven't done press conferences and whatnot. Um, Another thing is that like the lawyers are paid and are basically just have to a lawyer's job in the case of Naason is to just hyper focus in on this one thing that is happening to the client and try to get him out of trouble, right? From the law. And that's we shouldn't be upset at that because that's just what they do. And they serve a purpose in society, and they serve a the lawyers serve as a certain kind of check against the government. But here in this case, like we have this high profile dude who um who could be having press conferences with his lawyers and whatever else trying to clear his name, but that's not happening. And and people like us are just kind of allowed to continue to say things, and we back up what we say with the documents and the evidence. But for the people on Nason's side, it's either that they're stuck there with him for a variety of reasons, or they they just the delusion just makes them feel so good that they just don't care that whether it's real or not. They don't care for investigation. And the thing is that like no matter what, like if you guys really have the truth, investigation should not hurt this. And
Right.
you guys are like, we're on this path to like world domination, and like suddenly it's okay for God to just put it all on standby for 3 years and actually like eat away at so much progress that's been made over time. And uh yeah, it's terrible. I wonder what comes of it, man. Like I don't know. I don't have any thoughts. But I'm glad that you raised what you raised.
I think
Mhm.
that's a good point. You know, members should just kind of like, you know, don't even like just analyze how uh you know they choose to not, because at this point I feel like with all the information out, if they know it or not,
Mhm.
if they don't know it, then you know that's sad, you know. But for members who like you said, I'm sure some members have some idea what's going on, And the fact that they choose to not know, they choose to like push it aside. I think that that's a huge problem because this is what this church has done for as long as it existed. You know, it's very good at, and I feel like this is one of their strongest weapon against members is the control they have of them to not go against or to not, think otherwise. At first this was just a religious kind of action towards life, and it was okay, I guess. I mean, it wasn't okay, but it was just, but now that it's in a legal, you know a system where there's, you know lawyers involved, victims involved, a judge involved. It's like they're applying that same scenario, right, that they use with church or with their beliefs with the case against the judge, against lawyers, against the law. And I'm like, where, and this contradicts their teaching. That's a big red flag that I seen in the very beginning. And for them to just not see that, it's like you truly are just you truly lost. You've truly lost your own free mind of thinking, if that's how you want to put it. Um, and for you not to even see that, and I feel
Hmm.
like members do see that, but they choose to just do it anyway because they think about their parents, they think about their families around them, and their whole little, their whole environment, and that's what makes it, I think, just that much harder. But there's people like me and you, bro, who we know the consequences of this, right? And
Yeah.
I choose to live like this than to live a lie, honestly, because you know it's just very sad. It's very sad to live this kind of life. And at first, I'll be honest, at first when I first got out, I had a lot of rage and anger towards these people, and I would laugh and talk a lot of smack, and I wanted to let it out, I guess. But now, um almost 3 years now into this, I kind
Hmm.
of look back, and it's just, I feel bad for a lot of members.
Hmm.
I see the damage they've done to a lot of people, dude. Like, I know members who haven't got married. Like, this is way off topic, but just
Hmm.
just it affects in every aspect of life. There's members who haven't got married, right? Because they believe that they can only marry somebody within the church. And
Hmm.
the fact that nobody likes them, or they just can't find somebody to
Yeah.
pair with. Bro, they live alone. They never marry. They're just like alone, and nobody wants them in the church, but they can't go out to the world and find someone, and they ruin lives in so many ways, dude. It's very sad. Very, very
Yeah,
sad.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing that uh, I was reminded of something, and I can't exactly remember it, but um, I will say that okay, yeah. Here's one thing I can say. Recently, I was talking to a friend about Harvey Weinstein, and the friend said something about like, does isn't Harvey Weinstein like still in legal trouble or something like that? And I was like, yeah, actually, he's in legal trouble in California. Previously, a couple years ago, that thing started in New York. He has another thing in California. The dude representing him right now is Alan Jackson. The dude representing, Harvey Weinstein, top-notch, rich, movie executive, gigantic producer, just tons of power and pulling lots of strings in that industry. Um, that dude gets in trouble, and he hires someone like Alan Jackson to get him out of trouble. And then Alan Jackson is currently representing Naason. And then in the past, back in like 2017, 2018, Jackson was representing Kevin Spacey, another gigantic like artist um, actor who had some sort of Me Too scandal happen to him,
Yeah.
um, and I bring that up because like guys, like, just very clearly, like, you guys just it just this doesn't look good, this doesn't look good, and it's not even being acknowledged, and you guys are just brush it under the bus because um all that matters is that Nason is innocent, and we'll get there no matter fucking what. And and his innocence isn't going to be proved in this room, in the courtroom. It's going to be his lack of guiltiness, and even there, like, they're not doing a good job of hiding that stuff. The lawyer himself is admitting to there being particular evidence that Nason, very broadly speaking, that the lawyer has admitted to the courtroom that there is evidence of Naason doing things outside of his marriage. There's little like video photographic recordings of this stuff, and Naason's sitting right there, and he doesn't object to it. He doesn't stand up and like raise his voice and scream in the way that he's always had to. Um, Instead, he just sits there and takes it, and the family's in that room too. Like there's a bunch of people there. It's really strange to see that, and I I don't like that members got used to it like very quickly, and I've seen how it's ruined lives, and it's probably like it's certainly just thrown a wrench at so many lives, and including they just putting aside the people who have been separated from their families, which is many. Uh, as for like then what happens in like May, like I don't know. I'm just optimistic that something like very just that the evidence is huge, that the information and the media attention is huge, and it forces people to have to reckon with these like very uncomfortable truths, is what you were saying. The truth can be very uncomfortable, and like for some people they're gonna have to own up to the fact that they grew up a couple blocks down from this religious maniac, and the dude held a mental hold on them, a mental, financial, etc. hold over them for like decades, just across decades, and just for years. Um, uh, yeah. So yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about Fred's interview? I don't think there was much to say other than that one particular clip that about him. Do you have any other thoughts on him?
Honestly, no. I mean, I don't know if he'll watch this video. Maybe somebody
Yeah.
will share it to him. But like, if he did, and it would be really nice to have an interview, or you interview him, or us three have a
Hmm.
chat. Something just to talk about the case, see how Alondra's doing. Um, I think I,
Hmm.
I I did hear him say if it was a possible interview with Alondra after the trial, that would be just
Hmm.
atomic. I think that would be very, very strong.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
And if Alondra's brother is watching this, man, dude, like that's your sister, bro. I remember you telling me that she would never. But how would you know if you were never with her? But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But I think that would be very, very,
Hmm.
very helpful to a lot of people.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we can go on to a next subject if you
Yeah, for
like.
sure. That there was one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll explain what it is, and then I'm gonna say like the one particular point about it that connects to a discussion that we had last time. There was this dude who goes by the name of licenciado Tenorio, so licensed person or something like that. Some person with the title named Tenorio, who's from Brazil, and basically this is someone who made some news back in like January or February, where this person was someone who was not born into the church, not a member, but he is some sort of prominent person in Brazil, and he took notice of La Luz del Mundo and sort of endorsed them, and would show up at events, and would talk to Naason directly and other things like that. Um,
Right?
Basically, what happened this past January or February was that he came out on YouTube and online in some writings where he explained how he's taking back his support of La Luz del Mundo,
Oh
basically
yeah.
because of a number of reasons. Where he's saying that like he's like, yeah, the Naason is admitting to adultery in the courtroom. Here's my little one paragraph summary of it. Um, this has happened here. This has happened here. Another thing he explained in that document was like, here's how I got involved with La Luz del Mundo. Here's my exact stance on them. He's not a member, but he's someone who was prominent that La Luz del Mundo members hierarchy, Naason, um, cozied up to in order to get his favor and get him, get more people like attending the church and stuff like that. So yeah, he comes out at some point, and he's a person of some influence, I guess. He comes out at some point to say that like, hey, I'm taking all this back. One really the one thing that I want to raise about that is that I don't really care who he is too much, but I'm glad he did what he did, and someone like him can do that. But um, really the point that I wanted to raise was how that dude that dude made a point of like of how like he's like, yeah, I got to meet Naason. I'm not even a fucking member. I'm a person of influence, and that's what got me to the table with Naason. But like what a grave injustice, to the point where like there's so many members that are just like to put it like horribly, is like brown nosing Nason. Like they're just stuck up his ass. But they've never met the dude. Like they've never fucking met the dude. Um, for people that I know, people that I grew up with, people that they've told me that they remember seeing Nason in the neighborhood in Hermosa Provincia, and him coming over for dinner once or twice. But it's literally that. Like they've never ever seen him ever again. But for some
Right.
reason, um, they've never seen him ever again, and and decades later, they're just like tearing their families apart because they just really believe that little fat Mexican kid has grown up to have magic powers, from God. And yeah, I just really wanted to raise that point about how Tenorio, like, Tenorio is
No,
not
yeah,
a
yeah,
member,
yeah.
but he gets to meet the dude only because he has the money. And of course, if a member had a lot of money, if we had a member win the lottery, I'm starting to talk too much now, but like if we had a member win the lottery, um, we wouldn't be surprised if the church people come knocking on the door trying to say something like, trying to curry their favor and saying that like, hey, we're the Church of God. You should give some of that money back to us.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, go on. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So it's a perfect example of how the church um just analyze the situation, right? This man you're saying, right? He's the high person of influence in Brazil. Nason was trying to use him to open doors for La Luz del Mundo in Brazil, right?
Yeah,
Because he that guy did mention that Brazil is a country where they're very they really watch and they watch out for cults and for like people who want to kind of just say that they're a messenger. They don't like any of that. They
right. He
hate
did
that.
say that. Yeah,
Yeah, he said that. So Nason wanted to use this guy so that they can be something in Brazil, right? Get the start the business, the La Luz del Mundo business in Brazil.
yeah.
But and I remember him. This guy said this, bro. When he met Nason, they chatted, blah 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 blah. They had a
Hmm.
talk, and I think they asked Tenorio, right? This guy. They asked him if Nason was speaking in his old Spanish, vosotros, and ay,
Oh, right,
amoreis.
right,
And
right.
he was like, nah, he was talking normal. He was like a
Yeah,
normal dude. He didn't was like, oh, and ha ha ha, do 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 do, and nah, like he was just normal. But what was interesting is that when Nason spoke somewhere, I guess in a meeting where like there was a lot of members, he said that Nason took the he took advantage of the fact that they met and they had Nason knew that this guy was gonna help, but then Nason went up to say something to make it seem like it was like a something of God that God had already told him that this guy was gonna come randomly. And he took advantage of the situation to make it seem like Nason has like these superpowers and whatever he wants, God will just boom. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And he
yeah,
said that he's like, whoa, this guy literally took advantage of the fact that he met me, and he wants to just make it seem that it was like a prophecy. And it's crazy how that plays out because Nason and La Luz del Mundo, I mean if he does that, you know they do stuff like that to really because they try so hard, right, to be the authentic church. Just if they change the way they talk so that they can really be believable that these guys are a man of God, like what else don't they do? You know what I mean? And it's just funny how this this church works, bro. Like they're very in disguise. That's something that I think should be a good video just to call out. Just the whole clip should be about stuff that they try to do to make it seem like they're the only Church of God, right? Like for example,
yeah.
Nason's Spanish, you know, his and if you analyze just sorry, I'll stop after this, but
No, no, go on. Yeah.
if you just analyze because that's something that really, really, really got me, bro. The fact that Samuel Joaquin were talking this language, vosotros, hijitos míos, this Spanish. Mexican people like us, we read the Bible and we think that that's really how they spoke. But in reality, like, no, bro, that's just how it was written um, in that specific old Spanish. But that's not even the language they spoke. That's not
Hmm.
even if you want to go back to that era where Jesus was alive and they spoke. Jesus did not ever probably say the word vosotros because his language was totally different according to the actual. If you want to go back to the history, so for Nason to say vosotros, it's like, bro, that's not even what how they talk. But the fact he knows the advantage that if he can talk just how in the Bible, right, and it makes him seem that much more authentic. Like, bro,
Hmm.
he's gonna take it. He's gonna take it. So it's just like members. How can they not see this? You know, there and if you watch, there's a lot of clips. Now, a lot of times I would watch transmissions of Nason's talking, and he would mess up his words, bro. He would mess. One time he called a member an apostle. I remember he was going to bring so every time he would go to his tour, somebody
Hmm.
welcomes him in and sees him and makes him seem like a little demigod and the apostle. Well, I think that someone was saying some words back to them, and he messes up what he was saying, and he calls him the apostle. It was so embarrassing, dude. I have to find it, but it was
Hmm.
so embarrassing because here you are, the apostle, calling another guy an apostle. I
Yeah.
don't know. I thought it was hilarious, but
Yeah, for sure.
um,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah,
Go on.
I
Okay,
just
well,
learned.
I'll say that I know that I've seen other mistakes. I remember one time, I think it was like a New Year's, and Samuel said the wrong year. He said the present year, and he didn't say the new year. Like this was like right after the prayer of like at midnight, like right at midnight, and Samuel was like, "Happy 2010" or something. It was around there where he said Happy 2010, and it wasn't 2010. It was 2011. Like it's 2010 to some of your small churches elsewhere in the planet, but not here. Um, and as for what you're saying about like about the yeah, I don't have anything more to say about Tenorio. I hope he's fine. Thanks for helping. But please continue to just put more shit out there and talk shit about the church. But then when it comes to like the the language of someone like Nason, yeah, it's part of the charisma. It's part of a lot of just theater, and it goes hand in hand with Nason, showing up to show having his own seat at every single church ever and having his own podium and having this red
Oh yeah.
carpet and going down and having the hype party. It's the stuff that we talked about last time. Yeah, the language goes like hand in hand with that. And um, another thing about someone like Tenorio is that I think another thing that he mentioned in the interview that he did, well, at least what I remember is like what interview he did with Luis Carlos Reyes like a month or two ago. And one thing he said there is that like he said, yeah, I would attend. There was some sort of event that he attended that was a church event. He was outside or maybe inside, I think outside, and church members are told not to record anything, obviously, and they're monitored for like recording. And he was recording, he said, and he said that he got in trouble at some point for like recording stuff. And the thing that's interesting about that is that like that's a red flag. Like they don't want y'all recording yourselves when they have y'all chanting with your fist pumping in the air that someone's in a Son Joaquin, etc., or whatever other chant that they have y'all doing. Like if you really feel that and you do that, fine, whatever. But like but the members at the same time, the hierarchy at the same time knows that that sort of stuff, if that gets leaked out anywhere, it looks very culty. And well, another thing that reminds me of is that a couple of days ago, our friend, I can't say his name here, but he shared a video with me of some young woman on TikTok who's been making videos, and one of the videos that she uploaded on TikTok recently was her like recording her like leg. What you really see is just kind of like her leg, like just down, like to the floor. But she's recording that the audio around her. The audio around her is that she said some sort of event in Mexico, I presume, but the people around her are like singing these very like just brown nosy songs about Nason. They're singing popular Spanish, Mexican Spanish pop songs, and then like replacing words with Nason. So like, yeah, I don't give it. I can't give an example, and I can probably like put a clip in here. But
Whoa.
I saw this the other day, and what I'm
Wow.
trying to bring up by that is like guys, there's all these weird, creepy things that. Okay, so there's something like the language that Nason uses that makes you feel like you're back in uh
Oh yeah.
zero
Exactly.
BC, that it makes you feel like you're back in like 30 BC and you're
Right.
30, no, whatever, the year 30, and Christ is around, and you're talking to him. Yeah, there's things like the language that can make you feel like that, but then there's also these other things that they have y'all doing that should not make you feel like you're back in talking to Jesus and the apostles and stuff, because way back then they weren't doing these weird chants and like these weird parades and these weird like PR stunts. And
Dude, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Another thing that I always like to mention is the same thing about is about the like the supposed like 5 million members. Like we all know this is fake. These people could very clearly like do a PowerPoint, like in the way a company like does a presentation on its stock and how it's doing and how much they've brought back money for their investors and stuff like that. Um, Luz Del Mundo doesn't do that. There's never any chart. You're never going to see a chart. You're never going to see any of that. You're never going to see an Excel spreadsheet showing you how many members you have and wherever, and how the line graph has like gone in a certain way or hockey sticked or anything like that. Like that's not happening. And what's
No.
happening instead is that when you're in Guadalajara or in whatever other event, instead you have the figure that's emphasized more is what number of countries you're present in, as opposed to the actual members. Because yeah, as we know, the 5 million member claim has been around for like over 20 years, around 20 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know, man. Like like I and this goes back to other things that you were saying, but like the reason we do these videos, dude, is because like number one, we're not stupid and we just don't want to feel stupid. And then number two, we don't like other people around us to be made like stupid like this and to like destroy neighborhoods and families. And like again, like it's fucking crazy to think about how I only one time have ever come within like 2-3 feet of Naason, and and then like never spoken to him. He's never spoken to my family directly, but like but that was enough. That just whatever the force is, like it was enough to like to separate people and to do like horrific things to people, and it goes in a lot of directions. Um, what was I gonna say? Yeah, we do these videos because like we're not fucking stupid, and we want other people to just be better. Like again, like if I wish I had someone like me out there. I wish I had someone like you out there that was putting this sort of content out and was in my ear at the particular moment when I like needed it most to like to change my direction completely. Um, yeah, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on there?
Man, I just think I think I felt like it's just kind of funny now, the fact that sometimes I think like, is this just gonna be us who get out? Like, I feel like this happens to a lot of cults. Some people survive, well, not survive, but well, some people, it is survival. They get abused, victims who've been sexually abused. So to them is actually survival. I don't want to say, even though I mean, I could say I survived something very emotional, because they put so much emotional stress on your head. Like, every time I would miss a Dominical, if I miss a Dominical, I would always feel so freaking bad, bro. I would feel like horrible. I would feel like it's going to hell. That's what I mean by like mental stress or whatever. So I guess in that point, I could say that I survived all that. But I look back like, man, I'm just so glad that I was able to at least stop myself. And I know for a fact, on my children, because I have 4 kids, and I'm not gonna dictate their life, but I'm so glad that I can talk to them, and emphasize so many things that is not right, and things that are okay, um, you know, in their upcoming life or years. Um, but as far as like, I look back at this whole thing, and it's just,
Mhm.
it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that we're out. And I always wonder, dude, like why can't everyone else just like just be normal? Like, it's not even the fact that, like, what am I doing that's so wrong? You know? Like, and it's like, bro, like I left. Why hasn't like the ministro came to rescue me? Like, doesn't he care about my salvation, like what they preach? I remember back then, bro, it was like, we gotta go find our brothers. We gotta go. Bro, we would the whole charmer. One time we all went to this member's house because he left. The whole church went to his. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, that scared me. There's no water, Dad.
Okay.
I don't have any water. I'm okay. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go with you right now. Close the door, please. And as I was saying, I remember one
Mhm.
time, this ministro had us all go, bro, to this minister. I mean, this brother's house, right?
Mhm.
Because he was the word of that Sunday school was to like we have to go rescue our brothers, we have to go find them, we have to talk to them. They need to come back to the flock, whatever. So we all went. We were singing cantos outside his house, bro. It's
What the
like,
fuck?
bro,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, and it's
Yeah.
like a mariachi or something. Like, where's everybody at for me? Like it's just weird. It's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And it's more weird when I'll be honest, like sometimes I'm around like a lot of members who are still in,
Mhm.
and it's like I look at them and like you were saying, like they don't seem affected by what's going on at all, dude. And I'm like, if this really was real, if it's true, if he truly was an apostle and these people truly cared, like why aren't they going nuts or going crazy, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like it's just like an emotional like 10-minute thing. Like when Samuel died, I remember everybody was going crazy, and then after that, like it was just weird, bro. Like it was just normal. People were like they stopped eventually crying, and they it kind of like now that I go back and think about it, like
Mhm.
yo, you're okay, you're fucking fine, relax, chill, nothing happened. So when I look back at that, I'm like, dude, if let's say Nason just I don't wish this happens, but let's just say it happened, right? He passes
Mhm.
away. He just from being old. Dude, nothing's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure the members are gonna be like, whoa, like kind of shook, like whoa, this man just died. But if they analyze their feelings and their psychological like thoughts, like you're gonna experience some sort of like something weird, but then
Mhm.
that's it. Like there's nothing really there, and I see it on the members when I see them barbecuing, when I see them having jokes, laughing, whatever. There's nothing there. What they feel toward this man is just a fanatism effect. Like when you hear a rapper like Travis Scott, when something bad happens to anyone, you kind of think there for like, oh, that's crazy, and then it just goes away. That's it, because you don't know these people. It's way different when you actually know them, like like my son, someone that you really connect to. But they don't have that with my son.
Mhm.
They just think they have that because that's what they've been fed in their ears. But when it happens, it's like there's nothing there. It's just it was like an imaginary or how can I put this? Like them saying that they know him is just like a synthetic idea that it ain't even real. It's just
Yeah.
it's just there, but it's not. It doesn't even exist. You can say
Yeah.
it all you want, but when the moment comes down, I can guarantee you, bro, when this guy gets convicted, a lot of members are gonna like probably be sad in that first like day, and then the next morning they're gonna thinking about what to make to eat. Oh, we don't have any more syrup. Like, oh yeah, make my coffee like this. Like they're gonna completely forget throughout their day, and if they think about it, like yeah, okay, but it's like think about that. Like you don't know these guys. You don't know this guy.
Mhm.
You truly don't care what happens to this guy because he's the one in jail and you're not. You just care. Members just really care that he's the fact that the whole idea is still there and whatever they're fed, it's gonna be like that's just what it is for now. He's there
Mhm.
because of our sins and he's there because that was God's plan. Now, because that wasn't his plan at first. Now it is. So it's just weird, bro. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm sorry, but it's just weird like how the their way of thinking just I don't know how to put it.
Yeah. I don't get it either, and it's I these people really don't know him. Like I know people who are just destroying their lives and going with the whole show only because not only because but one of the reasons that they'll cite is that like yeah they met the dude when he was a little fat kid and it's just like no guys like it's not how it works. You don't really know him. When Bill Cosby got arrested and whatever scandal and allegations there were, there's some people who, Bill Cosby's not a pastor, he's not in charge of a church, but there are some people in the public who don't know him, who were like devastated, who felt that they're like, no, who probably said things and thought things like, no, we know him, that dude would never do that. But the thing with Naason is that, like, no, you guys actually really don't know him, and very purposefully so. Think about how they presented him to you. Think about the very few times you ever get to see him. Think about the people that he does get to meet. Someone like Tenorio, and um, he only gets to meet Tenorio because Tenorio has a big platform, and he can give you the okay to infiltrate into Brazil and establish your churches and whatever else. Um, and then yeah, when members say that they know him, they don't really know him. They know his logo slapped 50 times every 100 square feet in their church. They know they know the products. They know the pictures of him in their home. They know the picture of the embalming or the engraving of him in their hymnarial. They know all the chants that they've been fucking doing forever.
And
Yeah, it's not.
now that I think about it, the reason why they have to chant and the reason why the ministers have to yell, bro, how many times did you fake your cry or just like you were just like, okay, we're gonna cry again. Here we go. Like
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
every member, bro. I don't care who you are. I know every member in that church at least once. I know it's more than once, but at least once
Hmm.
you were like, oh, the apostle. Everybody cries, and like you don't even feel like crying. I've seen so many people, bro, that would just go, like they would just start like I guess they were crying, but no tears. It was kind of like, dude, it was forced. I remember the
Hmm.
first time I saw Naason walk 3 feet from me in Guadalajara. I think it was the first year where he was, he was holding down the Santa Cena. Yeah, just he was on fire, right? He was a new apostle. He walks by, bro, and I was like 2 feet from him, dude. And I saw this side of his face, right? He was walking. I saw this side of his face, and this man had, and I'm not trying to be mean or rude at all, dude.
Hmm.
My imagination had this like view of him because you know how like people say that when they meet him, he's glowing and like he's just like very shiny or I don't know. I had this like, bro, I'm gonna see this guy up close right now. When he walked
Hmm.
by, bro, this guy had agony all over his side of the side of his face, dude.
Right.
I'm not being mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw him and I'm like, right? He passed by and I was getting goosebumps from all the yelling. And that happens anywhere. That happens anywhere. If you go to Six Flags and the roller coaster just comes and there's people yelling, you get the chills. Your body reacts. That's pretty much what it was. But psychologically analyzing the situation, like this dude was just a normal guy, bro, walking. And if you look at his security guards, which I don't know why you have security guards, you're surrounded by people you love. Like who do you fear?
Yeah.
Who could possibly, whatever? They're there with the. If you go and Google Naason Joaquin, and you see the ministers around him, the pastores, he's always surrounded by people. Look at their faces, not Nason's, but the people around him who are guarding him. They have like the most, like they have this like annoying face, bro, that they just wish they weren't there. They're just like literally like that. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know.
they don't
It's
look.
just, it's like
But that's the thing, though. They know him. They actually know him. They see him behind closed doors, and they hang out with him, and they know that the spectacle that they have to go and march out there and be part of, um, is all a show to keep them in power, to keep them in the private rooms with Naason, where they actually know him, where he's not magical, and he's not like just having fish come out of their fish dinner just pop out of thin air like he's Jesus or something like that. Like that's like it's just not happening. I actually have a picture of remember when I said earlier about like Naason coming within 2-3 feet of someone? I actually have a picture of me and him like within 2-3 feet of each other back
wow.
in February 2015. This was like right after he became apostle. So Samuel had been spending a lot of months and maybe several years prior to his death in Houston because they have a cool like they have a good just medical infrastructure. And so Samuel was going there and living there and hanging out. And basically, we never saw Samuel, of course, because he's sick and he's busy and whatever else. But yes, Samuel spent a lot of time there in Houston in those last months of his. Then Naason comes into play in December. By February 14th, there is he holds his first Santa Cenas, and he's not present at the Santa Cena with us in Houston. He sends someone to go and represent him, but we still have the wine and the bread. Then a week later, so that was the 14th of February. A week later, on the 25th, no, hold on, 22nd, 21st, I don't know. It was basically the next week. And it was announced there at the Santa Cena. It was that, hey, Naason is coming to Houston specifically. And so for that week, we prepared. And one of the things that was done in preparation was that someone like me, a young man, was pulled aside by a particular woman member, and the woman member was in charge of creating some sort of color guard for him to walk past. Some sort of like people in suits. They just wanted people in suits to be lined up against the sidewalk where Naason would walk, so we could go into the church. And what they wanted us to do was to just like salute. And we probably did like a little bit of like walking, marching to look like we were to look like we had some sort of training or something. But no, what it came down to was that like no, we just have to pick some members to put them into expensive uniforms, a uniform that I had to buy, that everyone had to buy for themselves, that we couldn't buy, that wasn't given to us, and it was several $100s. It was crazy. I'm still pissed about that one transaction. Like that, just this one transaction, like really pisses me off. There's so many other transactions where they took money from me, okay, but there's just this one transaction where I bought this suit, where I bought this like sort of navy blue suit thing, and white pants, and maybe I had to buy a hat, maybe I had to buy some pins or something. But that's what it was. That's literally what happened. We thought he was going to come into the front. We thought he was going to drive into the driveway and then come out. And so we were standing there very last minute on that Sunday. We have to walk to the other side of the church, and the Houston church is kind of big. And so we actually kind of ran. We like ran. We walked very fast to get to the other side so we could line up on the sidewalk. And then because he was walking there instead of in the front. Um, and yeah, there's a picture of him walking, and like you said, those pastors behind him, and they don't look too happy. They're just kind of there for the show. They're just there to like
Yeah.
show their faces and back the dude. And then someone like me is just standing there. I have my hand up. He walks past me. I didn't see his acne. He probably did have acne, but I knew he was big. I knew he was a pretty big dude. Um, and and then that was it. Like that was literally it. After that, I stayed outside the church. He never came outside. He never exited there to walk past us again. He stayed inside. There was a whole spectacle. There's confetti and whatever. And then I never see the dude again until the following year for a different reason. And that uniform that I had, like I couldn't return that. Like I purchased it for this one event to look pretty for Naason for 2 seconds as he walked past me and saw me in the corner of his eye. And and then now, 3 years later, just there's this other gigantic rift between someone like me and him. I bring that up because again, members don't fucking know him. The members don't know him. The next time that I saw Naason, I probably saw Naason that August in 2015 in Guadalajara when maybe he was walking around. I probably saw him there,
Right.
but just to be like very technical. But one next time that I do remember for sure seeing him was in November of 2016 in Thanksgiving. That
Right.
Thanksgiving week, and I think Thanksgiving Day, or at least the day prior, one of those days, like the day prior or the day of Thanksgiving, he spent it there in Houston and in the parking lot of the Houston church where um, is they had a festival that they usually do there in Houston. I'm not going to go into detail there, but basically a bunch of members sell food and make food for one another, and then all that money goes back to church. It's just an extraction of free labor, right? But yeah, that day there was some sort of festival, and Naason was there, and he had his own tent there. And because it was Thanksgiving, they really bedazzled this tent up. Like they got like actual cornucopias. They went to like a party store or like an arts and crafts store or something like that, and they got a bunch of just Thanksgiving looking junk stuff, decorations to put into this little gazebo tent. And Naason literally had like a throne there, and he probably had a table, and he was eating. I don't really remember, but no one else was like people were like surrounding the tent and sort of looking at him and not exactly talking to him or bothering him or something. I don't think he spoke to anyone, but the point of that is that like you guys very clearly don't know him. Like this dude is not Skyping with families for 15 minutes every Sunday with families that he supposedly knows.
Right.
And the church isn't even that big. The church isn't even that big. And this dude really could be spending one whole day out of the week FaceTiming people, calling into churches on a Sunday right when they go to church or like all that stuff. I don't know. It's just not happening. They don't know this dude. They don't fucking know this dude, but they give into the spectacle. They buy it and they like um
Oh, you know what's crazy? I guess we can just talk about like stuff, weird stuff that we kind of went through,
yeah,
just
it's
to
the same
kind of
thing.
make it like, dude, like, well, I remember one time, no, it was that time that was a Santa Cena, the first Santa Cena in I think was it in San Bernardino in the Bill in the
Yeah,
park or like in
California,
the
20
stadium or something.
2018. Yeah, Glen Helen Park.
Did they invite the whole U.S. to that part place?
The whole US and Guadalajara people could go. And I think it was just specifically because Guadalajara people had been so used to hosting all the time, and so they could
Right.
go. Yeah,
Okay, so you know Sara Pozos, right? She's like the
yeah.
spokesman woman of the church. How many members did she say are in U.S.? Like a million?
I don't know the figure that these people have exactly given about the U.S., but it probably is a million that she said. Yeah,
There's a video where she says that there's a million members, approximately a little over a million in U.S. That freaking place, bro. When we went to the Santa Cena, what was the max capacity hold?
no
I
more than 100,000,
I think
and
it was like
yeah,
50,000, and not even all
somewhere
the
there. I was gonna say 60. Yeah,
all the seats were full, right?
yeah,
If
yeah.
if you look at the pictures of Area, I remember taking pictures. There's a lot of empty seats, a lot, and the song was already there. And I'm like, bro, that does not look like a million people at all.
Hmm.
Probably a Yankee stadium is more full than that. Think about a Yankee stadium, a football stadium. How many people fill up those stadiums? At least let's say max capacity. Not a million for sure. Not even like.
No.
And to say that you have this a million members in the USA,
Hmm.
how did you squeeze them all in into this like little Santa Cena or whatever?
Yeah.
Anyways, it just it just blows my
Yeah,
mind, right? But
which
anyways,
which is why the Guadalajara people were invited. On one end, yeah, it's a really good reason to invite the Guadalajara people because they had been so used to hosting people in their neighborhood and in their homes for years. But then now that there's a Santa Cena in the U.S., they had permission to go over there. But they were invited in the first place to fill those places out, to fill those seats up um because there's just not that many members in the U.S. And to add more to your point is like people within the organization that are baptized that have received that are at the very least baptized. But if you're any adult in this group and you have any sort of standing in it, you have to show up to this event to renew your pact with God and Jesus about
right,
about wanting your salvation and whatever else. And people can have whatever theological disagreements they have with that, but the function of a ceremony like that within La Luz del Mundo is to keep people continually like renewed and on good terms with the organization and traveling and buying the merchandise and staying in the hotels and keeping
oh yeah,
connected with people that are part of the organization. Yeah, it's stupid. And I was there. Were you actually there? I was there.
yeah. I went. I
Uh-huh.
remember. I remember, bro, because I was like so into it, bro. Like I wanted to be a minister, right? I wanted to go preach. I remember looking for that little stand where you would go sign up for la obra,
Yeah.
and I went, bro. I took my wife, and I was like, babe, let's just go. We went, and I was asking information, just getting details, and it's just kind of crazy now that I think about it. Like, if you're a member of La Luz del Mundo, right, and you
Hmm.
believe that there is a million some members in the U.S. alone throughout the whole country, just look at that. Just example, Santa Cena 2018 in what San Bernardino.
Yeah.
What happened to where's all the church at? Now you think about that and you process it. Okay, there was only like a few thousand people there compared to a million people, bro. Like the lie is huge. The lie is just
Yeah.
a big ass lie. Like you do not care that that is a lie. That doesn't make sense. That
Hmm.
makes no damn sense. Um, I think members just are so caught up in uh, you know, just this whole narrative they have going on with being the true church. They're so comfortable with that. One thing I wanted to talk about was
Yeah.
also going back to how hard these elites, these pastors try to convince them that they're in the true church. And one of the ways they do that is the way they talk. Emi aquí. They have this like these words that they use, bro. And I remember when I was probably like, like getting familiar with this language. Oh,
Yeah.
heme aquí, hermano, heme aquí, or la paz del Señor, or
Or just
stuff like.
hermano, or just like hermano, hermana. Yeah.
Yeah, and all these little things, bro. Like the members, like for example, someone that barely joins and is like hearing these kind of vocabulary, like they start to like. I remember I was like, whoa, like this is how they used to talk back then. No, dude, this is not how they talked back then. This is just people making this whole shit up.
Hmm.
And it was just like, but the feelings it would bring to myself, the feelings that it would bring to me, like whoa, like I'm actually like, and and this is why it's so hard for them to like not accept the reality. They're so in love with the idea that they're living the biblical times, from the language point to having the apostle in full effect
To
to
the attire, to the attire on the women.
like
The
somos. I remember that they had this little thing going on. Somos de la tribu de somos sajofitas, la tribu de Samuel. Like
hmm
just weird ass shit, bro. That they try so hard.
Yeah.
They
To add
try
to
so.
that, Houston was called um Houston was given a nickname because we had hosted Samuel so much during when he was older and frail. I think it was Betania. I don't know where that comes from, but like the language is out there. That like that stuff is
Yeah.
put
And
out there.
what
Uh,
about naming all our kids biblical names?
oh yeah.
It's like, bro, what the
Uh-huh.
hell? Like these people, and it just goes back to uh these people are obviously mentally ill, or they're just very sick people, bro. Like they have so much time to spend that they're just masterminding how to convince the members, you know, and
Yeah.
they've gone so far out to where, like, let's just set an example, like the members are so way off already, bro, that they don't even realize what happened to just preaching to like the poor people, or having like a charity for the people that are in the streets, the homeless, like what Christ did. If you want to follow the Bible, you guys, all you do is just sell flowers, tamales, and look for the next event to make money.
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
that right there, just that. It's like, when are you gonna? Are you done? Can you go helping out the poor? Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird, bro. Like it's just a business. At this point, it's just a business. But they don't see that, because no, we're the true church because Emi aquí, because la paz del Señor, because let me kiss your hand, because we have the apostle. And it's just so weird, bro. They've
Hmm.
lost sight of why they actually joined. I'm sure a lot of them joined because, you know, they were like in.
They got caught up in the
Yeah, hold on. They were
community. Yeah.
they were in search of somewhere to belong, somewhere to find God, and they
Hmm.
do help out. I mean, any church will change you in the way of, you could be a Jehovah Witness. Anyone, look at any religious person. They if they live a bad lifestyle, I'm sure they change now. Like they maybe change the way they talk, they change the way they dress. Like anything, any religion will help you do that, accomplish those type of things. So when the people that join La Luz del Mundo, when they accomplish those things, which they were bound to, hold on, that I'm on the phone. Okay, hold on, go outside. When they've accomplished those things, it's like they've lost sight of, like, now let's go on to like the rest of the thing, right? Like helping people, but they were fed this like story, like, hey, back in 1920 something, Aaron, and they give them this little storyline, and they get stuck in this train, and they're just in that train, dude, and they can't get off anymore because you're just surrounded by everybody else, and it's like like a tornado, bro, and you forget about what's the true, I mean, if there is any, the true concept of joining I mean, in my eyes, any religious group, I guess, ultimately goal is to help people out, not trap them in, just help them out, teach them something positive, whatever the case may be, and help people out, have an effect on anyone. But in Luz Del Mundo, it's like you're only allowed to help out the members that are with us.
Hmm.
Like it's just weird.
Hmm.
It's weird, you know. Also, Nason, he preached this the autoconsumo. You know what I mean? Like the autoconsumo is don't help out in the world. Just if you have a business, anything you gotta do, what you have going on, only in the church, not the outside. And that's so
Hmm.
like if you, I think that's kind of even selfish. Like I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like he contradicts himself in so many ways, but people don't see this. You know,
Yeah,
they don't
they're
see this.
trained. You know, they're trained to not see it. They're sold a certain story. They're sold a certain kind of membership and belonging up front, and then the bait and switch happens, and what happens is that like the switch is that like the bait is that Nason is this guru who has a direct line to God, and he has magic powers and whatever else, and then the switch is that like oh well, you have to attend the ceremony, you have to attend the ceremony, you have to participate here, your faith can be exercised through your acts and through your volunteer work, etc. um Dane, there was a number of things that came to mind that I was going to say. One thing I was going to say about um well, back to let me start with Glen Helen. Back with Glen Helen, dude. When I was there in the in the Santa Cena on the 14th that afternoon, you know how there was no service there in those mountains in the San Bernardino Mountains at the
Mhm.
park. I for some reason I had sat really in the back, not very much in the back, but on the back and off to the side, like next to an aisle, with the men's side. And I at some point, like for some reason, got service, and I checked my email, and that's when I got word that I got accepted to graduate school over here in Pennsylvania, and it was right there during that Santa Cena in the middle of it. I wasn't
Wow.
paying attention. I was tuned out. Like I was already not believing, and I was already making moves to not leave. And yeah, one thing that happened during that Santa Cena was the move to leave. Like I got the email that basically gave me the ticket to like to leave my family and my town, my neighborhood, to go elsewhere and like literally get away from the fucking church. um and I didn't know that the situation that we had now was going to come along, but I'm really glad that that happened when that happened.
Hold on.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, go outside. Close the door, please. I'm sorry, bro. Wow,
Yeah, no
man.
worries.
That's
It's crazy. It's pretty cool that
it,
I'm just very thankful that that happened.
it's almost like a movie, bro, that you have to find a way, like, and it's an excuse to kind of like, find a ticket out. And I wonder how many kids are in that same situation, dude. It's crazy. This guy, our friend, right? Which I
Yeah.
don't want to mention his name, but he was telling me like he talks to a lot of kids who, they just, and they're 15, 14, 15, 16, and they're already, they have like what, 3 more years to go to turn 18 and, make a move. I mean, what do you predict, or what do you think's gonna happen? But right before we close the video, we got like 5 minutes. What do you
Yeah, for
predict will
sure.
happen? What do you predict? I don't know if you want to put it in prediction or if you want to just
Hmm.
assume. What do you think's gonna
Yeah.
happen in what we got? We're so close to the trial. What do you think might happen?
So I would say for sure pay attention to the communications that are coming out of outside of the church. Just read through them at least once, and maybe read through the lines to whatever extent that may give us some sort of direction of what may happen in the courtroom. But basically, as things are coming up close in early May for that stuff, the trial is set to start on May 9th. And the weeks leading up to that, 2-3 weeks prior to that, there's going to be a meeting, and there's going to be some sort of jury selection, and that sort of stuff. So I guess like keep on the lookout for that, because that'll give us information. And basically what I want is just I just want this thing to begin. And number one there that I'm looking for is just confirmation that the lawyers feel like they've run out of ways to weasel out and to bring the dude like right into the courtroom. Once there, I don't know. I know the dude. I can't imagine the dude testifying for himself. I can't imagine the dude um uh I'm not sure, but the trial is going to last like 6-8 weeks, so a chunk of time. It's going to last several days over a period of a week or 2 weeks at the very least. All that stuff is going to happen, and so we'd have to keep our ear to the ground to figure out to towards that stuff to see if it actually happens. I just want this thing to happen. Is there any possibility of this thing being delayed once more? There probably is. I have no idea how. We're not in those rooms, and um, for me, all that matters is that in a time like this and with content like this, that we just put it out there and clog the information feed and just ramp up the pressure on these people and remind people that people like us are still talking shit and we haven't been shut up. It should be very easy to shut us up. Like imagine they can't shut us up, and they expect to convert the entire world apparently, but that's not happening. I Dude, I just want this thing to begin. There's a lot of people that really want to speak. I know of people that are involved with the case or close to the case that can't speak in the way that they want to yet, but they're just waiting. They're just waiting, and they've been packing all that up lately, and they haven't because they don't want to jeopardize the case because uh, they have faith in this thing. Another thing that was interesting that happened actually, and we didn't mention this in the video, but one last final thing that happened is that our friend Virginia Beckett had discovered that someone in California had filed a civil suit against Naason and a bunch of other people. Not, I don't think this year, or maybe not this year, not 2022, but maybe like earlier in 2021, and it just hadn't come out. It hadn't come to anyone's attention. That's a thing. And now, is anything going to happen there? No, not yet. That's a civil case. It's waiting for the criminal case to happen. That's where everyone's waiting on right now. But
Right.
I bring that up because that person has their initials as their name, and that this person has decided to come forward, and there's more people that's going to come forward. I think I would just like to think that people little by little are gonna stand up to this thing and speak for themselves and like literally like redeem themselves. Like we're just asking people to be better. Like we're just asking people to take on the discomfort and be better. Like even with the discomfort of recognizing that you've been lied to your whole life, that you've had all these things extracted from you, your family's been separated, you've been forced to do this horrible thing or this other horrible thing. um it's better to feel that uncomfortability, that uncomfortability, whatever, I can't speak. It's better to feel that and to stand in the truth than to like just stay in the lie and marinate in it and have this man who's not going to call you up, who's not working out while he's in jail. He's not doing his push-ups and taking care of his health. He's there just conniving and plotting to figure out how to keep you there and keep future generations of you there. And
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and one last sentence. As for what the church does, if the dude is convicted, I think they're going to wait till he is convicted or locked up or something. I think the church hierarchy is waiting for something like that. Um, so if it comes down to like picking someone else to replace Nathan, or picking um, or doing something like that, two new apostles, one new apostle, maybe an apostle messenger, I don't know. For them to come up with something, I think they're waiting for the criminal case because as of now, I'm not too sure.
Hope
Yeah,
I hope Nason is a total snitch. I know it's kind of bold to say it out like that,
yeah.
but I mean, I hope that this guy realizes, you know what, I'm screwed, and I think he's pretty in that melting point already. And I'm hoping he they offer him a deal, and he snitches a lot of the higher people, because they are involved, and that'll be huge, bro. I think that'll be massive, for how can they come out of that one, not someone snitching them out, the people who are giving his letters out. Like, what are they gonna say? Yes, me here speaking. Nason snitched me out, and I'm this. Like, never. So I
Hmm.
think it'll be huge. That's what I hope for. But if that doesn't happen, like you said, it's gonna be very. I don't know, dude. I'm just like, whoa, what's gonna
I don't know,
happen,
man.
my
I
dude?
just I just keep my head down and I
But
stick to the
yeah,
books and I try
just
to,
just
yeah.
just final thing to say. Just it's gonna be hard, man. This is gonna be very crucial for a lot of people, a lot of members. But my advice to a lot of members is when this news comes out and he's convicted, you know, don't get information, figure out why it happened, and don't just run to the church for the answers. I mean, which you probably will, but if the answers that come out it's not what they've been telling you for the last 3 years, then you should probably, look at other outlets, like you said, um, the court documents, right? Which is really what we've been doing. But pretty much that's pretty much it for me, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, I think we can wrap this up, man. Dude, thank you for coming on. I'm glad to hear this from you, and I'm glad that you're doing well and that you feel like you've seen progress in your corner of the world. I've been doing shit, in my corner of the world, and yeah, we started this channel like almost like a year ago. I should be uploading like way more, but I'm glad that someone like you reminds me that I have this platform and that someone like you and I can get on here and just talk some stuff, and
For sure.
I hope it helps people somewhere.
For sure, man.
Yeah. Do you have
Yeah.
any like final thoughts or anything before I press stop
Um,
recording?
nah. I mean, I wish I had to, but I don't want to say anything because it's already 12 o'clock, so I don't want
Yeah,
to
for
kind of
sure.
rush it. But yeah, man. Anytime, bro. Let me know. Let me know what any ideas in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Take care, man.
All right, man.
I'm gonna say bye to everyone, and then we'll stop recording. So yeah, bye everyone. Thank you for this. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Convince the YouTube algorithm that conversations like this are legitimate and appreciated. And otherwise, yeah, thank you again, Julian, for coming on. It's awesome.
Thank you.